I think it's important to preserve our cultural heritage. These things show us where we have come from and how we can proceed in the future if we have some frame of reference. My interest in architectural history sprang from courses that I was taking at the University of Oregon. I was going to be majoring in art history, or the history of art, but the architectural courses just fascinated me, and of course there was this magnetism of a first-rate professor, Marion Dean Ross, and I just gravitated to that speciality. On October 15, 1966, the National Historic Preservation Act was signed into law by President Lyndon Johnson, and that set forth a very far-reaching federal program in aid of historic preservation nationwide. It was based on a state and federal partnership. I came back to Salem and eventually was hired as a park historian for the Oregon Parks and Recreation Division of the Oregon State Highway Department. Soon came under the umbrella of a Department of Transportation, and the Parks and Recreation Division became a branch of this larger entity. The expectation was that a park historian would help the agency evaluate historic properties in anywhere in Oregon that might be proposed for addition to the state park system. And these kinds of resources had a broad description. They could be buildings, they could be historic sites, they could be archaeological sites, they could be railroad rolling stock, they could be districts, whole districts of maybe small towns like Jacksonville, Oregon. And my role was either write the nomination where needed, or process, get before the board the nominations made by the private citizens or developers or whatever. Senator C.T. Cub Haug, representing the Salem district, was looking at the timeline of the state capitol one time and saw that the 50th anniversary of the Capitol building's opening would be due in October of 1988. And so he got very busy and advanced a joint resolution from that legislative assembly mandating the preparation of a nomination of the Oregon State Capitol to the National Register of Historic Places. The responsibility landed in our laps, and my superior, the Deputy State Historic Preservation Officer at the time, James Hamrick, and I decided we'd divide the pie, we'd divide the labor. He would do the painstaking work of analyzing the plans and specifications so that he could discuss, as would be required, both the condition of the property before nomination and at present time. And in other words, he'd have to account for all of the modifications and changes over time and describe the interior and the exterior and the grounds. And I would have what they call the statement of significance, in which I would have to put all of that development in a historic context and explain how the design was achieved, who all of the bodies were, that is the agency structures and the advisors and all of the types of bodies and advisors who had come forward to create a Capitol building after the burning of the old Capitol of '76. We just found it very precious. We enjoyed working on it. It was took a lot of concentration, and behold, we achieved something that could be reviewed by the state committee. I noticed that our boss, the State Historic Preservation Officer, was able to sign his approval then based on his advisor's ruling in June of 1988, and the property was listed well in advance of the October 1 celebration of the 50th anniversary. So we managed that, and we're very pleased to do so. We have to be thinking beyond the finest old house in such and such neighborhood. We've got to embrace all of these mileposts of our joint, our communal growth and development. Now we are including in cultural heritage folkways, as well as buildings and districts and archaeological sites. I think the Oregon State Capitol makes a very fine place to ponder these matters. We can ponder our origins, and we can think about the consequences of our settlement.